Be prepared. After today, nothing will feel the same again. If you're watching this, the universe has already marked you. This isn't just another video. This is a spiritual alarm clock, a coded message wrapped in shadows disguised as a whisper, meant only for those who were born with a knowing too deep to explain. July 17th isn't just a date. It's a break in the simulation, a crack in the wall they didn't want you to see. And once you hear this, you can't unhear it. If you've been waking up in the middle of the night, if time's been moving strangely, if your intuition's been screaming louder than usual, this is why. Some of you are about to be pulled into something bigger than you've ever imagined. And others, they'll miss it completely, like a train that only stops once in a lifetime, and most people are too distracted to notice it was ever even there. The veil doesn't lift for the loud, it lifts for the ready. That's why this message found you. You're not crazy, you're early, and the world has always treated the early ones like they're insane. A storm is moving, and the chosen can feel it in their bones before it touches the sky. So don't just scroll away. Drop 77 in the comments if this stirred something in you. Like, subscribe, and help spread this message to the next soul who's been searching in silence. Because now the real message begins. You were never meant to fit in. You were built to break the mold. And deep down, you've always felt that. But you blamed yourself. You shrank to make others comfortable. You softened your truth to keep the peace. And still, the world treated you like you were the problem. But what if the very things you were punished for were actually your proof? What if your pain wasn't the curse, but the confirmation? This isn't about becoming something new. This is about remembering who you were before the world made you forget. Keep watching. Chapter 1. Isolation is a filter, not punishment. But let's make one thing clear before we go further. That isolation you've been feeling, it was never a punishment. It was a sacred filter, a divine sorting system, separating the echo from the voice, the sleepwalkers from the wide awake. Because not everyone is supposed to wake up right now. Some people are still clinging to the illusion. They're not ready to see what's behind the curtain. And you? You were born allergic to the fake. You've always known, on a gut level, that you were built different. Think about it. Those sleepless nights? That wasn't anxiety. That was your spirit refusing to numb itself. The silence that feels louder than words? That's not loneliness. It's a sacred frequency only the chosen can decode. And the way you walk into a room and feel everything that's unspoken, everything people are pretending not to feel, that's not weakness, that's spiritual sonar. You were never built for easy. You were carved for clear vision. You didn't just break the mold, you were born before it ever existed. So if you've been asking, why do I always feel so disconnected? Why does it feel like I'm walking a road no one else can see? It's because you are. You're not lost. You're just on a path that doesn't show up on ordinary maps. July 17th isn't about rescue. It's not about mass awakening. It's about alignment. This portal is opening for those who've already been in the fire and chose to stay awake through the burn. This shift doesn't want followers. It wants forged ones. The ones who carry truth like a scar, not a slogan. The ones who didn't flinch when the silence got violent. Because what's coming through that door isn't looking for the loud, it's looking for the ready. Chapter 2. Why July 17th matters. So, why does July 17th matter? Why this date out of all others? Because something invisible, yet powerful, has finally stepped aside. An interference you couldn't name, but always felt, is gone. It's like a glass wall that was never supposed to be there has finally cracked. This moment isn't about fireworks, retrogrades, or thunder in the heavens. It's about silence. And not the absence of sound, but the kind of silence where the truth finally has room to breathe. See, most days your intuition is like trying to hear a whisper during a storm. Too many voices, too many energies, too much cosmic noise. It's like trying to tune into a radio station with static blaring from all directions. But July 17th is different. The storm isn't screaming, it's stepping back. And for a brief, rare breath in time, you'll hear it. That inner voice, the one that's been knocking from the inside, trying to get your attention for years. This isn't peace for the sake of calm. It's peace for the sake of clarity. There's a difference. Don't expect signs in the sky. Expect a shift in your own frequency. Expect to wake up tomorrow and feel like something's clearer, crisper, like something sacred is standing just behind the curtain, waiting to speak. Because it is. And if you've ever asked, why can't I just feel what I'm supposed to do? That answer is closer than it's ever been. This window doesn't open often. Be still enough to hear. Chapter 3. Tuning into your true signal. That strange pull you've been feeling lately, the sudden alertness, the random heaviness in your chest, the sense that something's about to happen but you can't explain why, that's not anxiety. That's your internal receivers tuning in, like a radio that's just now catching a signal it couldn't reach before. You're not imagining it. The air feels different because the static is finally clearing. And for the ones who've been walking through spiritual fog their whole life, this kind of clarity is rare, sacred. But make no mistake, this isn't passive. This isn't about waiting to receive. It's about showing up to listen with your whole soul. On July 17th, the universe isn't throwing random messages. It's dropping coded keys, ideas, visions, names, memories, or sudden intuitive downloads that almost feel like déjà vu. And if you ignore them, they won't come back. That's the catch. This isn't an echo. It's a one-time transmission. Why don't most people feel it? Because they've never learned how to hear silence. They wait for a shout and miss the whisper. But for you, the one who's been sitting in the quiet, training your spirit to recognize energy shifts before they happen, this is loud. Not with noise, but with truth. And here's what most miss. When the world grows that still, it means something is moving closer, something that travels in quiet footsteps. This isn't just a portal, it's a moment of contact, and the ones who hear it will never be the same. Chapter 4. Timing and protection. Let's set the record straight once and for all. Your timing was never off. It was protected. If you're still here, still breathing, still seeking, it's because the universe meant for you to arrive now. You didn't miss the boat. You were the storm it was waiting for. There's a dangerous lie floating around, whispering that if you haven't figured out your purpose yet, you're somehow behind. But that's not truth. That's noise. The universe doesn't abandon the late bloomers. It hides the strongest seeds until the soil is rich enough to hold them. You weren't delayed. You were tempered, like steel in the fire, strengthened with every heartbreak, rejection, and sleepless night. That heaviness you carry, it's not baggage, it's architecture, a spiritual foundation built to handle things others would crumble under. And maybe you've watched others take off early, shining, moving fast, gathering applause. But fast fire burns out quick. You weren't made to burn. You were made to anchor. Your life hasn't been soft because your soul isn't ordinary. You needed pressure to awaken the depth. You needed storms to learn how to root. The universe isn't in a rush. It doesn't panic. It aligns. It waits. And then, when the ground is stable and your voice is steady, it activates you. So if you've been shaming yourself for not being there yet, stop. Because you are the moment. You are the arrival. Your pace was never a mistake. It was divine precision. Chapter 5. The ignition point. July 17th isn't the end of anything. It's the spark, the ignition point. A moment that doesn't wait, doesn't warn, and doesn't repeat. It only opens for those who are still standing, even if they're standing with shaking hands and a tired heart. If you're still here, something real is approaching. Not another lesson, not another test, but a meeting, the kind that makes you question if you're dreaming or if the dream's been watching you this whole time. You were never meant to chase your destiny like it was running away. You were meant to align with it. And alignment doesn't scream, it doesn't knock twice. It moves in silence and waits for recognition. That vision you tucked away, the one that felt too bold, too far, too unreal, it didn't leave you. It's been orbiting, hovering in your blind spot, waiting for your energy to stop bleeding into people, paths, and promises that were never meant to carry you. And now, the signal is clear. The interference is gone. For the first time in years, your frequency is steady enough to be seen. So if strange flashes of déjà vu are haunting you, or if you've got that eerie feeling something is circling closer, you're right. That's not delusion. That's your future stepping into range. But don't expect fireworks, expect atmospheric shifts. A moment where everything goes quiet and something ancient in you whispers, "This is it." The dream won't shout, but it will ask, are you finally ready to become the version of you who can hold it? Chapter 6, Meeting the Sleeper Self. Here's your rewritten and expanded Section 6 in exactly 250 words, carrying the same haunting tone, metaphorical depth, and clarity. Most people will only ever meet a tiny sliver of who they truly are, a surface version, polished, programmed, approved by the world. But beneath all that, there's someone else, your sleeper self, not broken, not hidden, just dormant, waiting. This part of you doesn't speak in sentences. It speaks in sensations, in instinct. It doesn't care about rules, timelines, or people-pleasing. It was never built for applause. It was built for purpose. Ancient, primal, wild. And it's been watching from behind your eyes, waiting for the world to get quiet enough to call you back. For most people, that version never wakes up. The world keeps them too busy, too distracted, too afraid to look deeper. But sometimes, rarely, the veil thins. The silence deepens, and something stirs. Lately, you might have felt a weird internal shift, a stretching, a restlessness. Like something inside is trying to move, but there's no name for it. That's not random. That's not anxiety. That's the sleeper self responding to the signal. And July 17th carries that signal. Not a spotlight, not a bang, but an opening. A quiet window where your real self can breathe again. This isn't about learning some new truth. It's about remembering one you were born with, before the world made you forget. That deeper version of you remembers the soul-level contracts you made before this life. You're not lost. You're just not fully online yet. But now, the system is waking up. Are you ready to meet the version of you that remembers everything? Chapter 7, Evolution Through Confusion. Tomorrow may not explode with answers, but it might ignite the first flicker of recalibration. And no, it won't look like magic. It'll feel like confusion. Because when your old self starts to dissolve, your mind panics. It calls it chaos. But your soul, it knows. It calls it evolution. Lately, things have felt strange. Not loud, not violent, just off. You look in the mirror and see your face, but something in your spirit doesn't answer to that name anymore. It's like you're hovering just outside your own reflection, aware, awake, but ungrounded. That's not a breakdown. That's the space between who you were and who you're becoming. You're not broken. You're expanding beyond a skin that no longer fits. The job, the habits, the roles, they all feel too small because you're stretching into something wider than what survival trained you for. This isn't depression, it's spiritual molting. And yes, your emotions may swing like a pendulum, your passions may feel muted, and social ties might fray. That's because your system is recoding. The fuel that once lit your fire no longer burns clean in this phase. You're not lost. You're just walking a new path with no language yet. The GPS you used before doesn't work where you're going, and that feeling of floating, that's your soul mapping new terrain. July 17th isn't a date, it's a mirror. The day your ego starts letting go and the real you starts remembering. Confusion isn't failure, it's fission. The soul cracking open to let the truth pour out. Chapter 8, The Day the Cage Disappears. Not everyone will feel it, but if you've sensed something pressing against your ribs, something wordless and urgent, then tomorrow isn't a day, it's a gate. July 17th doesn't just ask you to believe, it dares you to remember, to finally see the doorway that's been in front of you all along and walk through it. The real work doesn't start when you're ready, it starts when you're done pretending you need more time. Some leaps aren't made with confidence, they're made with truth. A truth that's been circling you for years, whispering in your dreams, echoing through strange moments of déjà vu. You've called it fear, but it was fate humming in your bones. This energy doesn't want your perfection, it wants your movement. It doesn't care if you have a flawless plan, it cares if you're honest enough to begin. The excuses you've leaned on, I'm not ready. It's not the right time. Maybe later. They're unraveling now, not because you're failing, but because you're outgrowing the version of you that needed them. And suddenly the comfort zone feels more like a coffin. This isn't about burning your life down. It's about realizing the cage was never locked, that the no you've been waiting for permission to override was always your own. So if tomorrow you feel a sharp jolt of truth, let it crack you open. That's not collapse, that's ignition. And once it begins, you don't go back. Chapter 9, The Silence After Self-Doubt. Something quiet is coming, and if you're even halfway awake, you'll feel it, not in your mind, but in your chest. A sudden stillness, like something that used to live inside you, is gone. But instead of fear, you'll feel relief. For years, your mind has been playing the same tired questions on a loop. What if I fail? What if I'm not ready? What if I lose everything? That loop wasn't truth, it was programming. But tomorrow something breaks. The voice that always interrupted your instinct, that made you shrink your dreams to fit someone else's comfort, that voice goes quiet. Not completely, but enough to notice. You'll try to doubt yourself the way you always do, and there will be no resistance, no noise, just space, like static has finally cleared. It's not emptiness, it's clarity. And what's left is not a broken version of you. It's the original signal, the one that's always been buried beneath fear, guilt, and noise that never belonged to you. Self-doubt was never yours. It was inherited. And what you didn't choose, you can finally release. July 17th isn't your rebirth, it's your return. The day you stop asking permission, the day your true self stops waiting and starts leading. And so, if your soul has been nodding through every word, this wasn't just a message, it was a mirror. If you're ready for what's next, like this video, subscribe for more, and drop the number 77 in the comments to confirm you felt this shift coming.